Good evening, everyone, and welcome to day number 310 of our nightly updates. Almost 9:01 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Coming up on that, 6:01 California, 4:01 Ukraine, a.m. tomorrow, and 3:01 in Amsterdam, where our partner Zhenya is joining us from tonight. Thank you, as always. Welcome to everyone. We're getting lots of new viewers, lots of good comments, and, of course, to all of you that have been here a long time, deep appreciation. Tonight, full update. Special thank you to our moderators. You guys were working good last night, and deeply appreciated as always. So, without further ado, let's get to it tonight. We want to get to the main story of the night, which actually is China, and going to be very interesting as we look at that. With that said, let me go here and say good morning to you, sir.
Good evening, friends.
Nice to see you in your plaid shirt there. I've got my Zelensky sweatshirt on, and we're good to go, and it's nice to see you. Good time with the family today. We were talking earlier. I saw you having, I think, pineapple or something, and then you also have a new hat. We're going to be releasing that at some point in the future, but we're holding off on that. We've got a hat coming on a future update. So, well, let's jump to it, man. Yesterday, of course, the big missile strikes throughout Ukraine did some significant damage, but immediately after that, once the recovery process started, another drone attack went into the air against Kyiv. Nothing major accomplished, but Kyiv has had to move now to scheduled blackouts again. The power issues.
Yeah. The 17 drones, it was, not 17 less, but 17 was Belarus during the day. The Belarus attack was 17. But the drones, our guys were doing the best, but early morning, we got some damage.
Yes.
Because of Russian attack. Yeah.
That's 2 days in a row going at the power infrastructure. Actually, we're going to stay on the power because the nuclear power plants, which would be the southern down near Mykolaiv, the Khmelnytsky from our home region, and Rivne, the northwestern, they're getting back online after the most recent attacks. But shelling, this is from IAEA, has damaged and disconnected the Zaporozhye nuclear power plant's backup power line. The plant is receiving off-site electricity from an external line. Now, of course, Russia is going to blame Ukraine for this shelling, but the fact is Russia is damaging that power plant, period.
Yeah. And I think the Zaporozhye itself, the region where Russia experiencing serious situation, and I would say critical station for both, but I think they're losing that region, and because of that, they can do different things. They were using any kind of ways, even attacking the nuclear.
Yeah, they are
just to get some.
It's the front lines are brutal right now, very brutal, but Russia's struggling in that Zaporozhye region.
Yeah, soon. I think they have this kind of there's circle around them there soon. This is why they're trying to do something, at least somehow, to slow Ukrainian forces.
Well, what they do to slow is try to disrupt power and communication. That was even spoke about today in all of the news channels in Russia. Not going to play it tonight, but that's what they were talking about. We've got to keep taking the power out. And then their second focus they were talking about was communications, internet, and that type of infrastructure. So that's their weapon. Frontline to frontline battle. They can't touch Ukraine. So that continues. Now, another big thing today, quite a few big things internationally. Zelensky congratulates Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on the formation of a new government. I wish him success, security of Israel, and I confirm Ukraine's readiness for close cooperation to strengthen our ties and confront common challenges, achieve prosperity and victory over evil. I think that phrase is very important. Common challenges. What would be the common challenge? Well, for Ukraine, it would be Russia and Iran. And for Israel, it would be Iran and Russia. So you can prioritize them differently, but there are common challenges. So I'm very thankful Netanyahu's back in office there. I can tell you that.
I think that region will help us.
I do too.
Because we have Iran there, and we have which is the supplier of the weapon to Russia, and the Iranian weapon are attacking Ukraine. And for us, the partner who are fighting against of supplier, our friend, and it becoming principal and open.
Well, I can tell you one thing. With Netanyahu at the helm, Israel will not be hesitant to do what is necessary to protect not only their interest, but that entire Middle Eastern area, global security. So it's an important thing. And Zelensky making that public acknowledgement of the common enemies or the common problems we share. Of course, Russia and Iran, or Iran and Russia. Now, let's jump over here. Recently, and you've been there, deoccupied territory. Some numbers came out today. In the recently deoccupied territories that Ukraine has taken back from Russia, they're discovering a lot of death. They're discovering torture houses. They're discovering places of interrogation. And unfortunately, a lot of dead civilians. That's the numbers here. Recently deoccupied discoveries of 1,116 dead civilians, including 31 children. And the world stands by. Why?
I think the one thing should be, what is important for this moment, for all the countries would realize and give that signal to Russia, open signal that they're realizing what's going on. Plus, if it be like with the way like if it be confirmed, then we will change our policy to the Russian visas and the Russian diplomatic relationship. I think because what do we have? The world should openly listen and hear whose problem is that? Is it some political parties? What do I meet here in the Netherlands? Why I'm here? People are sometimes they're like, okay, it's a fault of Putin, but some people more and more then fixing themselves. Oh yes, but the Russian nation, because their support, and I think it's a really good time for Russia to realize that this story will be connected to all people with the nation Russia.
You make a great point. In fact, Reznikov, the defense minister of Ukraine, is coming out with a statement tonight or tomorrow morning, and it's going to be directed to the Russian nation, and it is going to be powerful. My plan and intention is to have that in English for us to share tomorrow night. There's a lot of things happening in this new year. We're going to cover that on the last slide tonight about new mobilization January 5th. But Ukraine is making some serious statements to the Russian people. It's going to be time to either get involved and stand against this evil, or it's going to be too late, because the world's going to go down a deeper hole of division and war. And unfortunately, what unfolded today between Vladimir Putin and Xi out of China definitely does not help. And we'll get to that. Now, let's go from that, where we're talking about loss of life, and that is civilians. I remind you, 31 children, including in that number. Let's jump over to Bakhmut. Got a little segment tonight I want to share called "The Real Faces of Bakhmut." We've had this translated and subtitled today. You want to preface it? We're going to show two faces here of Bakhmut. Bakhmut's destroyed, folks. Now Ukraine's holding it, but it's destroyed. Destroyed. Very few people left. Only the ones that really can't get out or just are making the decision to stay because of family members in other cities or whatever. But it's very few. Soldiers are rescuing people. We've got a video clip of Stas we're going to show. So you're going to see a face of a soldier and you're going to see a face of a kid. And then after that, we're going to show another face. And that's going to be a face of a different soldier fighting in Bakhmut. It was a BBC journalist was able to capture about 15 seconds of this soldier. You can see the weight of the war on his face. So let's start with Stas. And I'll play this one, Jake, and then we'll get your thoughts on Stas. Here we go.
Стасик, скажи, ти хотів виїхати давно? Тепер ти віриш, що все буде нормально? Все, ти мене ждав? Все, я тебе буду за тобою постійно приглядати. Будемо зробити. Так, дядя Петя, Стасу телефон. Молився? Стас, я теж молився, щоб все було добре. Ти дуже хороший хлопець. Я думаю, такі діти – це майбутнє нашої України, я вважаю. Стас навіть молився, каже, щоб ми приїхали.
Man, it doesn't get any better than that.
The kid, yeah. We've seen that kid before on TV, and he was commenting the war, that he's okay, he used to the explosions, to that sounds, but now he made decision with the help of adults, and I believe that these words about it, the kids like that, it's a future of Ukraine, good kids who experiencing the war, and not only Russian, but all the people needs to understand this is the fact. It's a future generation of Ukraine, kids with experience of the war.
And this is why Ukraine will not give up. We're going to speak about that in just a moment, something Zelensky said today. But kids, of which, of course, you have kids yourself. So, when I look at that soldier, that's the furthest thing from a Nazi you can imagine. Stas was praying. We're praying. We're even praying. Okay. We're sharing the truth, folks. We're sharing the truth. That's a typical Ukrainian soldier right there. Typical. So now let's look at another soldier in Bakhmut. BBC 17 seconds on this clip, but this is a guy that's been in the battle right here. Let me just, there. Ukrainian soldier that's been in the battle. You can see it. And I know we've got veterans. I know some of the guys in our community personally that are Vietnam vets. That video clip's going to remind them of their own days. That was brutal in the Vietnam War. So if it does, fellas, and bothers you, I'm sorry. But the world needs to see this is what Ukrainians are going through. What else can you say? We're trying to share the truth. Zelensky. This is why, whether it's Stas or that Ukrainian soldier, no compromise. No compromise regarding Crimea. I think he made that statement today to respond to what happened between Putin and Xi. I think he just wanted the world to be on notice. We will
Mm-hmm.
not make any compromises with independence, territorial integrity, or sovereignty. Forget it. And that was specifically about Crimea. Of course, the other 4 regions, but that peninsula of Crimea, the Russian golden egg, is not up for grabs. And I assume you completely agree with that.
Yeah, and we will not have compromise. All of those kids like Stas will not compromise for what they've been experiencing and how they will call it later. And they will not compromise it in the political, in the personal life, in their trips, in their international relationship future, in their, I mean, they're fighting, they're realizing, and right now, if my daughter, my kids are asking, they're realizing that there is situation in Ukraine. Why do we have that? And they staying and they praying too for the aggressor would stop, or our fighters and the people and soldiers who protect the nation would be successful to stop them anyway. And so the kids are growing with that. We didn't plan, we didn't wish, but aggressor came on our land with the desire. So for future in here, it's everywhere as well. Like while I'm here a couple of more days, it's a principle. People, are you from? They said now here in Netherlands. Just one person met me on the street. Excuse me, I've seen the flag of Ukraine on or the car plate. Are you from Ukraine? Yes. Oh, this. Thank you. Thank you. You encouraging us that you fight basically for us there, and your soldiers are heroes. All the volunteers are heroes. All the people who are coming, and the men who are coming to Ukraine helping the own nation are heroes. Thank you very much. And then she said, "Oh, by the way, in our church, we have some man in Poland. He speaks your language, Russian." And then she says, "No, Ukrainian." Now they are realizing more and more people than in the future.
Mm-hmm. Well, I can. This is touching everybody. When I was in New York sending out the air shipment, and I had you call in and speak to the representatives of the company, they were making sure everything was ready to go and all our documentation and who was meeting it and where it was going. Before you called in, everybody in that office was Ukrainian and was talking to them. And then you told them, "Oh, Greg, he's a real Ukrainian," and had all my gear. And then once you hung up, they started asking me, well, where were you? Where have you been? And I just started listing the cities, where we're helping. And when I called out Slavyansk, one of the secretaries there working started bawling, crying. I said, "What are you crying for?" She goes, "That's my city." And it just touches me that you were there. I said, "Well, not only was I there, I'll be back. Get this stuff over there." And this is pushing a year, man, a year. And
now,
it's crazy.
Now that situation with that woman, she said he spoke, and then she said no, he speaks Ukrainian and Russian, and then I said, okay, I can speak Russian, no problem. And in the future, Ukraine will be a country of freedom.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not about the language, you have to understand, and it's not about the Putin, just one person. It's about the nation and the wish and the desire of some empires, emperor or like terrorist to destroy the other nations. It's not about them. But the thing I wanted to share, and she said, yeah, it's not about the language, blah blah. But I wanted to share the thing that these people are already they checking it, they separating it. Yeah, the language can be like this, but the Russian, you need to be double more careful. And I think the Russian people does not understand. I mean, what's going on in the world with that? What Putin with his team and the the people who just ignoring, maybe disagree, but sitting at homes, not fighting for the future of Russia. And fighting for the future of Russia, I mean, the stopping the war, stopping the Putin.
You made a statement maybe 2 nights ago when we got back to normal, how that Russia would eventually become closed with information. And supposedly, we'll see tomorrow. That's what Reznikov is talking about to the Russian people, that the borders may even close, not only for Russia, but for Belarus. And you're going to be locked away like North Korea. So we'll see. There's a lot of stuff happening turning into this new year. Now, one of the things that came out today out of the madness, and this is what people see, of course, our top general, Zaluzhny, he's guilty of the war crimes in Mariupol, by the way. This is what this says, folks. The Ukrainian general Zaluzhny is the one that killed the people in Mariupol. This is what they see.
Yeah, it's like telling that the soldiers who are shooting down the cruise missile, and if the lefts of this missile will fall down on someone's car, then somebody will blaming the soldiers that it's his fault that the missile fell down on someone's car, it destroyed it. You understand? It's the same.
Exactly.
The soldiers, Russia launches the missile, started the war, invaded Ukraine, and now who can tell about, hey, stop launching the rockets. And at this moment, what do I mean by that? The future, if Russia will not stop, the future answers. If Russia will not stop, the places where it's launching will be attacked back. Not because of the wish of Ukrainians, but because of the attacks of Russia, because of the war attitude, because of making, the attempts and plan to kill other people. These terrorists should be eliminated.
It's going to come out of necessity.
Yes, and please understand, if it be the Russian terrorists will be using civilian houses to doing it, and civilian people will not leave and will try to be close enough to terrorists, it's a choice of that people. You understand? Because please understand, when the Russian tank, the fighter jet, or any, other kind of S-300 launch system, the guys coming and in their plans to kill 1,000 Ukrainian kids, old people, mothers, fathers, children, doctors, any. So what is normal people for protecting that will be ready to stop it. The only thing why Ukraine are not attacking all of that places, it's because we don't have enough yet. Mm-hmm. But it's coming. It's coming. The coming more people in Russia as well. I think the people have to realize that in Russia there is people more and more coming who are realizing what's going on, and they already there fighting for their future against of Putin's regime. And there is people like that in Russia. There's not like Ukrainian, spies or it's Russian people just with sound-minded people.
Sound mind.
And please, sound mind that it's not a question of answering. It's just a question of time. And I don't know what kind of situation will be, because Russia started the war and we already have the situation. It's a terrible situation with the dead bodies of Russian military. Thousands and thousands of people are laying in Ukrainian land. Nobody wants to take them out because of different reasons. One of the reasons, because somebody is hiding the quantity. Because if the Russian people would see the thousands and thousands coffins going, somehow going to Russian cities, maybe they would realize something, that something going on. Because at this moment, seems to me, since September, the official number of soldiers, the Russian soldiers who died on the Ukrainian territory, seems to me about 5,000-6,000 only. And you understand?
Completely.
And you may check probably it. So why? Because they're hiding. They want to hide it. They want to make it as long as possible, that process. And they will be using police, all the structures, for people would stuck in attempts to get answer. Where are their kids, fathers, relatives, sons? And they will be making longer and longer, changing offices, changing process, changing the routes, how it will be going, prolonging
Is that the Soviet
terms
way?
with the,
Is that the way it was?
Yes.
Well, think about this.
Absolutely.
If you'll destroy the drama theater with kids in it, and I remind people that when that was struck, written in huge letters on the sidewalks all around the building, children here, and they destroyed it anyway, and just last week buried it, destroyed it, covering up all of those war crimes. Why would they not do the same for their own soldiers? Of course they are. They're laying there in trenches. We've got the video. We just don't show it. They're just laying everywhere. So it's point well taken. Let's jump up to Belarus, bud. We talked about the S-300. Belarus did their investigation and have concluded that the S-300 falling was most likely Ukrainian provocation. And now, of course, here it comes. The Kremlin concerned over rogue Ukrainian missile in Belarus. The Kremlin says it is highly concerned over a Ukrainian anti-aircraft missile that flew into Belarus's airspace on Thursday. So, within 24 hours, it's all done. It's Ukrainian provocation, and the Kremlin's upset about it. I think we ought to provoke them like with 100 more of them.
I think the Belarusian nation should be highly concerned that the people are, who are in, the commanders of their defense, out of mind.
You mean crazy?
Because, crazy.
Out of their mind. Mm-hmm.
Okay, sorry. They are telling that, okay, Ukraine doing a provocation. By what? By shooting down the Russian missiles, by protecting their kids in their homes. Oh no, I think the Belarusian has to have this concern about that their commanders pulling by Putin's plan, pulling all the nation into the war, into that pool of blood. And it should be a kind of, bringing concern.
Well, Zhenya, supposedly Reznikov is going to speak directly to Belarus as well. Going to be interesting. I hope we have that ready for tomorrow night, translated for the world to see. He's calling out Belarus as well, as far as we understand what's coming. Now, this is how it worked. S-300, Belarus says Ukraine did it. It's provocative. 24 hours later, on December the 30th, 10 Ilyushin 76s loaded are coming to Belarus. It's just that, of course, that's after the Kremlin says, yeah, okay, this was a provocative movement. We're very concerned about it. Now 10 Ilyushin 76s. And for those of you that don't know, these are the tremendously large cargo planes that the military uses. It's just the picture being painted, and you're right. Belarus is going to be drugged right into this.
Yeah, but then Belarus will get on them responsibility, even with, at first, there will be not the same situation with answering to Belarus. Plus, it will be the other story. I tell you, just the other story. Think about that. Last day, 17 missiles were launched to Ukraine. 16 of it had the target civilian objects.
Mm-hmm.
So Belarus is in it. Thousands of, yes, okay, they are already there for sure, but it still there is some time for the nation. Belarusians would stop their sons, fathers, the army, and do something inside. Yes, there is some people still who fights inside, and I think it will be more. I hope for. Otherwise, because they are fighting for against their own future, own kids. They don't want to have their kids in the pool of blood.
There is a lot of Belarusian people that I would even say quite Ukrainian-like. They want to go west. They want to have a good future. They want to be a normal nation. And about 18 months ago, that coup or that rise up that the nation was doing, trying to stand against Lukashenko. If you remember, he had to call Putin to send the police to come help put it down. But it shows you there are lots of Belarusian people that are sound-minded and want peace and want good relations. So we'll see. Once again, it's the same story. Eventually, Russian people in sound mind, Belarusian people with sound mind are going to have to stand up. Stoltenberg came out today and gave a warning. He said, do not underestimate. Do not underestimate what? Well, the relations and the potential still of these nations, Russia, Belarus, China, Iran, and North Korea. It is serious. And yes, Ukraine's doing good. And yes, we're working to supply them with more. But do not underestimate these nations going into the new year. That really pushes us to the main topic of the program tonight, which we'll close with, which is Russia and China. Their relationship now is clear. So each year, at the end of the year, I learned this today, Putin and Xi do a call that's made public where they discuss their relations and they discuss how things have went between Russia and China for this past calendar year. Well, that happened today. Here's the intro to it. We won't play it, but we'll give you what happened. Here's Putin saying hello to Xi.
Добрый день, уважаемый председатель Си Цзиньпинь, дорогой друг. Очень рад вас приветствовать и видеть. У нас с вами складывается очень хорошая традиция в конце года говорить по видеосвязи, подводить итоги.
And he goes on and on. Welcome, my dear friend, Chairman Xi. We have a great tradition. Well, what went on? What happened in the discussion? Well, here it is. We've been talking about it. Here we go. Xi is invited to Moscow in the spring to hang out and have a good time with Putin. Number two, relations between China and Russia are at a historical best. Better than ever. Number three, Russia is the #1 oil exporter to China, confirmed today publicly between Putin and Xi. World, if you're wondering if Russia's selling oil to China, wonder no more. Number 4, Russia is the number 2 gas exporter to China, right out of the mouths of Putin and Xi. Number 5, both have no trust in the West. Number 6, China does not condemn the war in Ukraine, but desires peace. They've not condemned Russia. What she said today was actually on the bottom right, she direct quote, in the face of a difficult, far ambiguous international situation, we are ready to increase strategic cooperation, provide each other with opportunities for development. They do not condemn. Number 7, military, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, number 7, military cooperation will increase. There you have it, sir. December the 30th, 2022. Not from a journalist, not from some commentary program, directly out of the mouths of Putin and Xi. What you think?
I think the first thing, he comes to the tradition, and I would add one letter to that, or one word. It's P, priority. Why? Because in the end of the year, Putin regularly having a speech to his council and people. This year, he skipped that. And by priorities, he didn't skip China call and made it public. Why? He couldn't miss it because of priority. He can ignore his nation, he can ignore his council, but he cannot ignore Xi Jinping. And I think, I don't know. I think the Xi Jinping, he knows and realizes his station in Europe and possible economic future for the Russia. And I think he will use it as much as possible for this, but they are standing together. And if Putin openly he claims it like that, he doing that statements, and it's from both sides. They're openly partners. The Xi Jinping not condemns the war and the Russian position. It means that he affirms and confirms his attitude to international law, to the sovereignty of the countries, to the international borders, to the aggression, to terrorism, to nuclear threats, and because it goes together, killing civilians.
You have to remember,
if he's,
Xi, the chairman, is a dictator. Do not think there's some democratic nation. They're communist. He's a dictator. And he's a terrorist. Folks, as Janie would say, look it up. The genocide against the Uyghurs in Western China that the world has been screaming about, but nobody's done anything about it. It's China's action against that people group. Same thing that Russia is doing in their genocidal acts against Ukrainians. Listen, what does it say? Birds of a feather flock together. And, when you think about it, the economics, very clear today, China's spending money to Russia. Big time. And number 2, we already know India is spending money to Russia. Big time. The 2 most populous nations in the world, we recently clipped 8 billion people in the world. Between those nations, you're over 2 billion. 25% just in those 2 nations are supporting Russia economically. I don't really care that little teeny Austria was not buying their gas, whatever. It's nothing compared to these massive nations. So we'll see. But the relationship is clear. The world is on notice. China and Russia are going to continue their friendship, partnership, and look to grow it. Simple. Don't ignore it. Very clear why Stoltenberg then came out and said, listen, don't underestimate what these guys are doing. Don't underestimate. We must stand strong. So we will continue to stand strong. Thank you, brother.
Yeah, the only possible future is for the blocks, for new blocks, the military and economic blocks, international blocks. And I think now it's a good sign for other countries to stand together, to choose the side and make a decision. Okay, now it's a time for technology war and economic war. It's a big threat to the world at all, especially the poor nations with the poor sources. And this is what Russia wants. Russia
100%.
wants for people with starving. And
by the way,
the Russian,
I don't want to go deep on this because we could just keep talking, and I want you to enjoy your family for a few more days. It's time to leave. And it makes me happy you're picking me up. It makes me sad you have to leave your wife and babies. But this is where we're at right now. We talk about China, India, and Russia economically. I've spent a lot of time, done a lot of work in Africa. Make no mistake about it. China and Russia own Africa. Lock, stock, and barrel. So you take China, India, throw Iran in there, all of Africa. They got plenty of money, plenty of resources. The world is coming into a new season, and 2023 looks like it's going to increase the tempo of the changes. So, all right, buddy, enjoy your family, get some rest, and we'll holler at you tomorrow. I'm hoping we get the Reznikov video. Dude, I think he's going to drop some truth. That is the defense minister. So we'll see. All right, everybody. Thank you as always. Thank you for your support. Thank you for hitting the like button, sharing everything that you do. If you're watching on other platforms, please get over to YouTube and at least subscribe there and turn the bell on, even if you watch on other platforms. Why? Because here in just, less than 72 hours, what is it, Friday night? Yeah, about 72 hours, I'll be heading to Amsterdam to meet this fella. And we're going to be putting up more than just the nightly updates. Want to make sure you can see and be a part and experience everything because you're here with us. So thanks, bud.
Thank you. Thank all the people who are staying for the truth, for the light. Thank you. Thank you, all the people from different parts of the world. It's encouraging.
I had a guy leave a note today on one of the videos. He said, "You two clowns are keyboard warriors. Why don't you get an AK?" I said, we can get AKs. We can get anything we want. I said, first of all, you think we're a keyboard warrior? Why don't you look at the bulk of our work that we've done for almost a year? And by the way, we're heading to the east, and we'll gladly take you with us if you think we're some cowards. He hasn't responded to me yet. I hope he does, because we're going to take that cat and leave him.
It's becoming boring. It's the people.
The hatred.
Yes, because it's they have to pick the. Otherwise he would be calling and say, "You alive? Yeah, okay, I'm busy because so many work are here." That's it. All of these people, just leave them alone.
This is the way I see it. You know you're doing something good when the haters are hating. So hate on. We're going to be here telling the truth. Like it or lump it. All right, my man. Love you.
And by the way, today we bought gifts, the sweets, the candies for 660 kids.
How many?
We're preparing the gifts. We bought a gift for 660 kids, individual gifts
For kids.
for kids Christmas program. Already bought, paid it off, transported to our warehouse, and we bought other stuff for this program.
Are we going to
today.
be taking those to the kids?
Yeah, and I will be happily clown for them on the front line, close to front lines to
Yeah, but you know,
make them happy.
we just sit behind the keyboards and we don't do anything.
Yes, and yes, I will put my nose and everything and be happy there until other people will commenting you doing nothing, or you. I mean, it's okay. It's okay. I just will share more picture and the videos and the things what we can do, and it will be the part of the part. So thank you for one more gift, one more chocolate, or one more bandage for the soldiers. Thank you for that.
That's right.
For all the people. If it makes them happy that they can call me anyhow, yes, you have right. I'm going to make kids who lost their schools in their villages, and we'll be clown for them if you want like that.
Slava Ukraine.
And you are perfect sitting there. Yes.
All right, buddy. Get some rest. We'll holler at you tomorrow. Thank you, everybody. Be blessed. See you in 23 hours. Good night. A good night to all.
Totally good night.